Like everyone says, go-to-market strategy. Yeah, what is that? It's a plan for how to capture people's attention. And generally, you have to create that attention. You can't just hope they see you. And then turn that attention into the behavior you want. Marketing is the art and science of behavioral change. And I've seen these incredibly long definitions that are like word salads designed by committee of what marketing is. No, it's the art and science of behavioral change.
And so as you and Emily were kind of batting around ideas for this book, and I know you've worked together for a while and you're sharing your lessons and learnings, how did you deal with the question of how do I get these builders, a term that we often use for entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, to care about the go-to-market, the distribution? Because to your point, like, we recognize and reward the builders of the world. And in fact, we lament when, we as people, as organizations, and as societies are perceived as, stopping building. So how do you make the case, not only that it is important, but how do you make the case for, something tactically that people can do to shift their time appropriately to thinking about go-to-market, if the question makes sense?
One of the analogies we use is hacking. We talk a lot about what a business person can learn from a hacker. There are two kinds of hackers at a very broad level. There are script kiddies who run an exploit a million times and hope somebody hasn't patched their software or send out.
We've all been there. Don't tell anyone. Yep.
And then there are these zero-day architects who craft a surgical first strike that nobody's aware of yet. And we liken marketers to those two things. There are marketers who are like zero-day script kiddies and they just spam things out and do whatever, is the latest thing they read on LinkedIn. And then there are people who are quietly devising a new go-to-market strategy. Like an old example would be Dropbox. When Dropbox launched, they had this thing where if I invited you, we both got more storage.
Yep.
And that was built into the product. It's a product feature, but it was built. So I think what we do is we say you can build go-to-market strategies. In the same way, you're still building. You just reframe it. It's not you're building the product or you're goofing off. It's you're building the product or you're building your zero-day marketing exploit.
And you're building the product and the feature set that perhaps touches those folks that are disadvantaged by the status quo and, for instance, are disadvantaged by not having that extra gigabyte of storage or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and there's another important point here, which is that when we talk about the go-to-market strategy, we're talking about the plan for creating attention and turning it into profitable demand. Like everyone says, go-to-market strategy. Yeah, what is that? It's a plan for how to capture people's attention. And generally, you have to create that attention. You can't just hope they see you. And then turn that attention into the behavior you want. Marketing is the art and science of behavioral change.
Yep.
And I've seen these incredibly long definitions that are like word salads designed by committee of what marketing is. No, it's the art and science of behavioral change.
Can I constrain that by behavioral change through communication? Or is it really just as broad as everything that is deliberate about behavioral change as marketing?
Oh, if you put in a feature that changes people's behavior, that's still marketing, right? That's why product falls under marketing. If you change your pricing, it changes people's behavior. I don't think there's anything you could do that isn't trying to change behavior. It's just that people think that one more feature is going to change behavior. It might, but it's unlikely that that's the best way to change people's behavior. So there's another hot take. My Lean Analytics co-author, Ben Yoskovitz, and I were talking about last week when I was in Toronto. We have this idea. You've probably heard of the term growth hacker.
Of course. And
chief growth officer.
Yeah.
And maybe even product-led growth, right? And they're like, oh, product-led growth is a person in charge of growth who kind of messes around with the product a bit. And the product manager in me goes, when did we abdicate growth to somebody else? Like, what is the product manager's job is just to read Jira and turn it into roadmap documents? No, that's a job for an AI by now. If you aren't thinking about product features as a tool for growth, you're a bad product manager. And it's sort of like product managers abdicated this role of figuring out what to build to some other department. When did that happen? When did we decide it was okay for some newcomer to show up and say, I'm going to be the chief growth officer and I'm going to be in charge of all the growth-oriented product features? Your job is just to make a laundry list of what people would like in the product who've already bought it.
It is really interesting because I do wonder when we hyper specialized in small organizations.
Right.
Like, and that has such a risk.